I'm looking to average a minimum of 15% internal rate of return on the people's money with zero taxable gains. There would be no tax on the money. So all the money is netting into the pocket. So I have a $3 million fund that I'm almost closed on. So I just raised, currently I've raised I think about $1.5 million in the last week. And I have the other 1.5 million to do. And honestly, I probably could have already finished raising the money for it, but I just been so busy with getting tax season over and the mortgage company and all that busyness going on for me to close it out. So this is called the Old Southeast Fund. I'm buying a bunch of property in the Old Southeast of St. Pete. So if you saw a couple of days ago, I was DeSantis. I was with I was at the speech where DeSantis was at. Right down there, they're building 7 skyscrapers. So I'm buying a whole bunch of properties on the streets right below it, and they're in that area. But all the homes under 400 grand are being purchased and they're being demolished and they're building $1.5 million houses. So I'm buying all the multi-units that I can get in that neighborhood that is reasonable. So I'm picking up a 4-plex for $900,000. I'm picking up a triplex and a duplex for $600,000 a piece. And I'm doing value add and renting, and then we're gonna obviously remodel them, rent them out. Basically multi-unit properties. I already have the funding set up with the bank for the purchase and the reno. And then once it's completed and been renting for 1 year, the bank's gonna give us back all of the money we spent on the property. So in say 2 years, we'll have no money in the deal. We'll have all the $3 million back and we'll use that money to do another group of properties. So we're not gonna do a distribution. We might be paying out 8% dividend roughly, but everything else that we're getting from the cash out refis, we're using that to buy another roughly $3 million is what we're raising, so we're gonna buy about $12 million worth of real estate. We'll get another $3 million, buy another $12 million worth of real estate. At that point, we're probably gonna do that one time. After that time, we're probably just gonna close it out, and then from that point, we're gonna start doing distributions. Because I don't want the fund to be over. I don't want the fund to be over $26 million, because then there's certain other things that happen tax-wise we have to do, and I don't wanna have to focus on that. So then we'll do another round, and then we'll do probably the next round is probably gonna be a $6 million raise. And then from there, 12 to, eventually we're gonna have a 50 or $100 million raise. And then in mix with the real estate, the other thing, a lot of you guys probably don't know about this, but you can buy mortgage notes. So I'm gonna go and start buying private seller notes on homes. So say you bought a house with owner financing. I'm gonna go to that guy who gave you the mortgage and I'm gonna buy that from him. So I'm gonna own the mortgages on these properties. So now I own these properties. So before the flipper gets it and everybody else gets it, when that guy say defaults or doesn't want the property anymore, I'll basically tell him, hey, if you don't want it anymore, let me know, I'll buy it off of you. So now I'm not going through the flipper and all these other guys, paying them a premium for it. No, I get it directly at a discount. I've got the property and I can remodel it, or I could flip it. But I'm going directly to the source to get deals. And if they don't end up selling it, whatever. I'm still collecting a nice check for the fund for the money to roll in. Another portion of
they'll just keep paying you, right? Instead of paying the previous owner.
I'm the bank. Yeah. So I'm the lender now. So the checks are gonna come to us. So now we got these different sections of the fund. The next section of the fund is about 5 to 10% I'm gonna throw into crypto to let it ride. To let it ride into the crypto fund, let it have some type of, because some of the people don't touch crypto at all. I did it on IG. I ran in a question: how many people own crypto? And this is a younger crowd, right? IG is roughly say 25 to 50. I think only 20% said that they owned any crypto. Wow. So even the younger group doesn't have crypto, which is kind of crazy. So this is gonna be great for there to be exposure to the crypto market. The last part of this fund that I'm having in this system is we're going to be investing in green, clean energy. So when you are extracting oil out of the ground, there is a process where you're cleaning the equipment and other items. And there is a process to clean everything called CO2 scrubbing. So as they're extracting the CO2, normally they would have to take this product all the way to a factory, clean it, and then they would bring it back. Well, there's basically tankers, like semis, with a piece of equipment that the equipment gets dropped off, so the cleaning happens at the actual location. So now there's not the expense of traveling back and forth. As it's being cleaned, the CO2 is being cleaned out of the systems. They have the CO2 and all this off product. This off product is actually a very clean fracking material. So this clean fracking material gets re-injected into the ground, which is what the government wants, because now it's putting CO2 back into the ground. And as it's doing that, it helps the oil company to actually pull more oil out of the ground. So that whole process is green, and we get a cut of the profits for them to do it. Now, why I think it's so amazing is because if you made a ton of money in crypto, you got a big tax problem. Because I'm talking to some people now that want to invest with me, and they got big crypto tax problems. Because I know some people that have like millions in crypto. So when you invest in this green technology, the government gives you a 100% tax write-off for the money you invested. So you put in 300K, you get a $300,000 write-off. So if we properly leverage it, and we're working on the details of this, if we properly leverage it, because we're talking about cash investments, we're not talking about leveraging debt to help accelerate the returns. If we properly leverage it, we could get a 300% tax write-off. So you put in $300,000, you would get a $900,000 tax write-off. So if you're selling $1 million of your Dogecoin, because you're a Dogecoin millionaire, you put 300K of that money into this fund, you could potentially get $900,000 tax write-off. And because if you don't do that, when you sell your Doge and you have a short-term capital gains, you're peaking minimum 35% tax bracket before you have the ultimate minimum tax and before you have your state of California tax. So you're at least 50%. So at least $500,000 of the $1 million that you would have made would be going to the government. But if you invested 300K of the million into the fund, you would get a $900,000 tax write-off. And it's not like the 300K disappeared. That 300K is being invested for you and you're earning a return on it. So all of this is happening within the fund. So I can eventually equate, I'm looking to average a minimum of 15% internal rate of return on the people's money with zero taxable gains. There would be no tax on the money. So all the money is netting into the pocket.
With that HELOC, you said you could put it in your savings account. Would it make sense to also possibly put some of that money in cryptocurrency?
Boom, 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 boom. Now, this is why you shouldn't do that. Because I'll give you a story. Like when let's just say you did that right now, and you put that money in 2 weeks ago, and you're like, Dogecoin is going to the moon. And as you all saw, the crypto market dropped like 50%. So if you're going to be using that money for real estate, you shouldn't put it into crypto or the stock market. You don't want to use this money that's going to be a long-term investment, but treat it like a short-term investment. If that $100,000 is meant for the housing market, for multi-units, for whatever real estate you want to buy, you're using the money for a long-term investment. Now, crypto isn't really, if you're not a day trader, and I mean to be a trader, very few traders actually really make money long-term. If you put it as a short-term play into this thing, because I'm like, I'm gonna pull it out pretty quick when I want to get a good real estate deal, likelihood you're gonna lose money by the time you need it. Because by the time you find a good deal in real estate, the market drops. So you wanna put your money as a long-term investment into crypto. Don't look at it as like a short-term play. Because again, when you need it and you wanna pull it out, if the market drops, now you have half the money to work with. So what happened with me? Back in 08, I had some money in the stock market. And I said, well, I got a whole bunch of money sitting here. I don't want to just sit here and make like no interest. Let me put it in the stock market, and if I gain like 7% on average, that's fine, that's good enough. And I will, be able to make some money. So I just let it sit there and make nothing. What ended up happening is by the time I did find a good real estate deal to buy, the stock market dropped 50%, and they basically had to sell at a loss so I can take the cash and buy the real estate deal that I found. So you have to be very, very cautious, because even if you put it in like the most safe crypto, which is Bitcoin, it still dropped significantly. And the same thing happens if you put your money into Apple. When it dropped in 08, all the blue chip stocks also dropped because the whole market tanked, right? So there's a big difference between thinking, oh, I have individual risk. The whole market has the bottom drop out of it, so the whole thing falls down. So even though treasuries are horrible, right? Like as a return on investment, when everything falls, the only thing that doesn't fall is usually treasuries, because their value is pegged to the dollar, which is basically almost the same thing. So they're not a great investment, but they are a store of value $2, and most everything now is pegged to $1, right? Unless we have a major reset, which I don't think we're gonna have a major reset for a while. I mean, maybe it'll happen in 10 years from now, but I don't see a major reset happening now. So your safe play is keep it in cash and use the cash to buy what you want to buy.
There's a question here in response to your crypto. Aaron Brawler says, do you think the Apple announcement of possible crypto inclusion will boost cryptos?
Yes. Everything that we're hearing is going to help the crypto market. There's going to be more and more inclusion, right? A lot of the smart money acknowledges that crypto is here to stay. And there's going to be a lot of volatility in the crypto market because every new market has that. The question comes to is, who's going to win? All of these factors are going to help build its popularity and make it more mainstream. But we don't know which crypto is going to win. So you got to be careful and diversify yourself in quality crypto holdings. Another thing to remember, and what I want to say is this, is that the positive thing is I did a poll and I asked my followers, and my followers are like, we'll say between 20 and 50, with a majority between the age of 25 to 35. And I polled the group saying, how many of you hold crypto? Only 20% said that they actually own any crypto. So if this young group of people don't hold a lot of crypto, eventually more and more will as popularity builds and as it becomes more mainstream. At that point, also think about the older population is eventually going to start rolling in some of their money into crypto as well. The upside of crypto over the long term is huge. Do I think Bitcoin will hit $100,000? Yes, it'll definitely hit $100,000. It'll probably hit $1 million. The question is when. That we don't know. So the point is, you shouldn't, back to the original point that I was explaining earlier, you don't use short-term money on a long-term investment. So yes, crypto is a good investment. I'm not telling you to buy some, but I own some. And I know I'll do on long term. But I can't have my short-term money that I'm gonna be using it to buy real estate in crypto. Put in what you're willing to hold there for 5 to 10 years. And there's a lot of people that invest with me that buy real estate, and it's the same thing. Whatever money you're putting with me to buy real estate, we're going to be holding it for 5 to 10 years. Because for us to get the major upside that I predict that a certain market is going to get, we have to wait the 10-year period for us to be able to triple or quadruple or 6x our money.